The day I found out wasn't some dramatic moment from a movie. No lipstick on the collar, no late-night phone call from a stranger, no anonymous text. It was so mundane, so ordinary, that it almost didn't register. I had taken the day off work, some plumbing issue in the house, and we were having a guy come in to look at the pipes in the basement. Danielle had already left for work. Or so I thought. I was downstairs talking to the plumber when I realized I left my phone upstairs. I went back up, and there it was, her phone, still plugged into the wall. I remember blinking, confused. She never left without it. She lived on that thing. That should have been the first warning sign, but what really caught my eye was the screen lighting up. A message from someone named T. It wasn't just one message. It was a stream. Half flirty, half vulgar. Last night was insane. One read, "Still thinking about you in that dress." Another had a photo attached. I won't describe it, but it wasn't meant for my eyes. I stared at the screen like it had personally slapped me. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move. My brain tried to justify it. Maybe it was a joke, maybe a misunderstanding, but the evidence was right there, glowing in that cursed blue light. I opened the thread. Dozens of messages. Days of conversation. She had changed his name to just an initial. Classic move. There was nothing ambiguous about what I saw. She was having an affair. Not just a fling. This was something deeper. Familiar. Rehearsed. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. Instead, I felt this terrifying calm wash over me, like a storm gathering at sea. I unplugged her phone, sat down at the kitchen table, and started reading. Message after message. Sometimes they fought. Sometimes they shared inside jokes. She called him Teddy. He called her D. It was disgusting, not just because of the betrayal, but because it was so intimate. They had their own little world, one I had no place in. And the worst part? She sounded happy. I couldn't remember the last time she texted me with that kind of energy. I was reading the version of her I thought had vanished years ago, only she hadn't vanished. She'd just redirected it. I charged my phone and started taking pictures of her screen. Everything. I didn't know why yet, but I needed it. Proof. Maybe to confront her. Maybe just to remind myself that I wasn't crazy. I spent the rest of the day in a fog. When Danielle came home, she acted like everything was normal. She kissed me, poured herself a glass of wine, and started talking about her long day. I listened, nodded, played along. But everything she said sounded hollow now, like words from a script. I watched her laugh at her own joke and wondered if she'd been with him that afternoon. If he had touched her and sent her home with the ghost of his fingerprints still on her skin. Over the next few days, I didn't say a word. I became a shadow. Quiet. Observant. I listened more carefully to everything she said. I took note of her shower times, her excuses, the way she'd smile when her phone buzzed and she thought I wasn't looking. I started waking up earlier than her and checking her phone before she got to it. The password was her birthday. How poetic. I downloaded an app to clone her texts to my own phone. Every word, every emoji, every disgusting little confession, I read them all. She was spiraling deeper into this man. I learned his full name, Tyler Matthews. He worked in real estate. I found his Instagram, his Facebook, his LinkedIn. The guy was bland as hell. Clean cut. Smooth talker. Classic affair material. She once told me she was getting a facial downtown. I tracked her to a cheap motel off I-25. I parked across the street and waited until she came out, her hair tousled, adjusting her coat. I took pictures. My hands were steady now. No more shaking. Then came the first crack. She forgot to log out of her email on the laptop. I checked it, of course. And that's when I found a draft. An unsent message to Tyler. She was planning to leave me. Not right away. But it was there, in black and white. "I think I'm ready," she wrote. "Frank's been acting strange lately. Like he knows something. But I'm tired of pretending. I want something real." She even started Googling apartments in the city, looking up lease terms. I sat in the dark for over an hour, staring at that email. It was like watching your own obituary being written. That was the moment I decided. No mercy. I didn't want her to just lose me. I wanted her to lose the version of me she thought she could outmaneuver. I wanted her to remember me not as the boring, predictable husband she cheated on, but as the man who outplayed her in every possible way. And so, I began. I timed everything. I watched her phone light up with Tyler's name and studied her expressions like a hunter stalking prey. I made copies of the emails, screen recorded her calls. I even managed to capture audio from a video call where they talked about going to Mexico together, how she'd figure it out, and tell me she needed a mental health getaway. She laughed about how gullible I was. I saved that one. Played it on repeat in my car like a sick anthem. My plan had 3 phases. First, collect everything. Second, bait her into feeling safe. Third, detonate. But I needed one final piece before the trigger. I scheduled a fake work trip. Told her I'd be gone for 4 days, visiting a construction site in Albuquerque. She acted supportive. "You've been working so hard, babe. You deserve a break," she said, kissing me with fake tenderness. I packed a duffel bag, drove to the airport, and never got on the plane. Instead, I checked into a motel 15 minutes from our house. She thought I was gone. And that night, like clockwork, she brought him home. She used our bedroom. That detail will never leave me. They didn't even try to be quiet. I parked down the street, accessed the hidden camera I had set up weeks earlier. Small, motion-activated, embedded in the dresser mirror. I watched from my phone. Every second burned into my brain like acid. Her laugh, his voice, the way she moved in our sheets, in the space we used to make love. That was when the shaking came back. Not from pain, something deeper, something colder. I recorded every second, saved it all to a hard drive. That night, I went home. She opened the door in a robe, hair wet from a shower, surprised to see me. "Back early?" she asked, eyes wide. "Yeah. Trip got canceled last minute," I said calmly. I walked in, set down my bag, kissed her forehead. She smiled. "I missed you," she whispered. I nodded. "I missed you too." The final phase began 3 days later. I waited for the perfect opportunity, her birthday. She loved birthdays, loved being celebrated, loved attention. She was planning a small dinner at our house with friends and family. I offered to organize everything, booked the catering, decorated the house, invited everyone she loved, even her coworkers. And I had a surprise planned, a short video montage I told her I was making, full of memories, vacation clips, sweet photos. She was thrilled. "You're the best," she said, hugging me. "I can't believe you're doing all this." She had no idea. The night arrived. The guests poured in, laughter filled the air, and for a moment, even I was fooled. The warmth, the music, the way people spoke about her like she was some perfect, loyal wife. It made me want to scream. But I smiled. I toasted. I handed her a glass of champagne and said, "I made you something special. Everyone's going to love it." I dimmed the lights, connected my laptop to the TV, and pressed play. At first, it was innocent. Childhood pictures, clips from our wedding, her laughing at the beach. Everyone smiled. Then came the shift. The screen faded to black, and words appeared. "This is who Danielle really is." The first photo was of a message. "Last night was magic. Can't stop thinking about your hands." A few guests shifted. The second was a screenshot of her texting Tyler. "Frank is clueless. I'll tell him after your birthday. We'll finally be free." People went quiet. Then came a short clip from the motel camera. The room filled with gasps. Her mother covered her mouth. Her sister looked away. Danielle stood frozen, champagne glass slipping from her hand and shattering on the floor. I didn't say a word. The video played for 6 more minutes. A chronological record of her deceit, her betrayal, her lies. The final screen read, "Danielle, you broke your vows. Now everyone knows." I closed the laptop and looked at her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't moving. Just standing there like a statue in a storm. The room emptied fast. Her father was the first to leave. Her friends followed. Her coworkers muttered things and disappeared. I stayed behind and watched her crumble. You ruined me," she finally said. I tilted my head. "No, Danielle. You ruined yourself. I just showed them the footage." She moved out 2 days later. I didn't answer her calls. She emailed once, then twice, then never again. I found out later Tyler's wife had left him, took the kids, filed for divorce. He lost his job not long after. Danielle had tried calling him, but he blocked her. She ended up alone, in a studio apartment, working part-time at a call center. I watched from afar, checked her socials once in a while. Her smile was gone.